Yes, hello everyone.
That's better, I
Welcome
can
to
hear.
our training, Become an Expert in English Speaking Recruitment. I'm Raphaël Beriot, Sales Manager at Proformation. We will start in a few moments the training. Before I let our trainer start the lesson, Stephen would like to introduce you to the schedule. The goal is to give you an overview of the training and answer your questions. This is not a complete training, but an introduction. The becoming of an English-speaking recruitment expert full training lasts about 6 hours. First of all, our trainer will outline the training for 20 minutes. Then we will answer a number of your questions. We will invite you to ask your questions by chat. Please use the chat. The more questions you have, the better it is. Well, I will pass over to Stephen and speak to you at the end of the training. Okay, Stephen?
Okay, so hello everybody. My name's Stephen Dinham. I am a teacher for Proformation and I am British, originally from the UK. Okay, so we're going to look at a lesson which is about HR, which is in the human resources sector of business. And it's how we look at interviewing candidates, potential candidates for our business. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the lesson that I give. This one is set at level C1. So this is your upper level of English speaking. The levels are C1 to C2. This one is C1. So the first thing I'm going to say is, what day is it today? Today is Tuesday, the 27th of September, 2022. So this is a HR, Human Resources, Ressources Humaines interview, lesson level C1. Okay, so this level can be adapted to the debutante level, and each of the lessons is sur mesure or tailor-made. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is a preparation task before we start. So match the abbreviations 1 to 4 with the definitions A to D. These abbreviations are used in English-speaking businesses. The first one we have is B2B, number 2, B2C, 3, L&D, number 4, HR. So the first one we have is B2B. So what would be the definition for B2B? So this is what we call business to business. So it's C. B2B, when we're speaking in English within the business domain, we would use very often B2B. B2C, okay, is business to customer. So somebody who is talking about their job, their role, they would say, I am very focused on B2C, business to customer relations. 3, L&D. A, learning and development. I work within the L&D department, or I work in the domain of L&D. So I work within learning and development. And then we have HR, which is B, human resources. I work in the HR department. There you go. So there are the answers there. So B2B, B2C, L&D, and HR. Okay, so the next one. These abbreviations are often used within the world of business in the English-speaking world. I have included a table on the next page of abbreviations for you to look at. So the table below are the abbreviations that we use in British or American business, English speaking, and it gives you an idea of what the abbreviations mean. This one is used very often, which is ASAP, as soon as possible. People will say to you, I will do the task ASAP. I will do it as soon as possible. So we have various abbreviations for you to look at. A sample interview of a job candidate called Maria. So the next step of this lesson is we're going to look at a job interview involving a candidate called Maria. The interviewer begins. So, hello, Maria. Thanks for coming in for the interview. Maria, it's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. The interviewer, well, as you know, the company has been expanding and we have an opening in our HR department. We're creating a new role for someone to lead our learning and development within the company. So there we have learning and development, L&D. So which abbreviation would you use for training and development? So we can call learning and development or training and development. But this one is L&D. So it's learning and development. This one here, learning and development. The next one we look at is the word expand. Expand, expanded, expanded. The verb that we use in English for expanding. So in this context here, we have the verb in its present continuous form. My company has been expanding over the past 5 years. In English, we can also use a synonym, during the past 5 years. So the word se développer, the company expanded so quickly, it opened another store. The next step we look at is Maria. Yes, I very much think that my skills and experience are a good fit for what you're looking for. Often English-speaking people will talk about their skills, their competence, and they will also use the word a good fit. A good fit. So what is a good fit? A good fit is when we are suited to the position. So we would say that I am a good fit for this company. The job is a good fit for my skills. Sometimes we will ask a question. Do your skills fit the role? Sometimes we say role, or we can say job. So the question here is, do your skills fit the role? Are your skills adapted? Do your skills suit the role or the job? It's a question often asked in interviews. Interviewer, that sounds great. So your CV looks strong. Though it would be good if you could give us an overview in your own words of what you've been doing over the past 4 years or so. Now, this is where Maria now has the chance to talk about herself and explain what she has been doing over the past 4 years. Well, in my first job 4 years ago, I was working for a small HR service provider, so a human resources service provider, which offered HR services, including L&D, to corporate clients. Interviewer, okay, so it was only B2B. What does the abbreviation mean, B2B? What does the abbreviation mean, B2B? Well, it's business to business. There's the answer, business to business. And also L&D, which is learning and development. Again, we're using L&D. I worked in learning and development. So the next one is Maria. Yes, we only offered services to other companies, not business to customer. So what does B2C mean? Where would we use B2C? So B2C means that we have business to customer, which is D. I am in a business to customer facing role. I am in a B2C facing role. Now we have internal support. Where would we use B2C? Would we use it in internal support, in a role that is customer facing, or internal affairs department? We would use B2C in a customer facing position where you are constantly or very much involved with working with a customer. So your business to customer relations. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is interviewer. Right. And it says here, you then left that company about 3 years ago. Maria. Yes, that's right. I was looking for a little more stability. So the candidate has used the word stability here. She says, I was looking for a little more stability and also to be part of a larger organization. So I joined a company with around 100 staff and a small HR team. So environ 100 staff. Now, the word that we're using here is stability. Okay, it's a noun. Okay, so more stability. The bridge has 3 spans to ensure its stability. Okay, so stabilité. The next one we're going to look at is, as there are only a few of us, we each deal with a range of HR topics. In addition to payroll, one of the parts, one of the jobs, the job functions within a company is to pay, payroll. One of the areas I was responsible for was learning and development. Learning and development. So L&D, learning and development. So what is the abbreviation for learning and development? Well, it's L and D, learning and development. Payroll, payee. The accountant is in charge of the employee's payroll. So the word we use in English is payroll. The next one we have is the interviewer. I see. And so why do you want to change jobs? Maria. Well, I very much like the L&D side of my role, learning and development side of my role. We can also say, you will also hear, job. English people also use job or role. And I've always had particularly good feedback for my work in this area. Feedback. It's very often used when we talk about business ideas. If we go for a meeting, we will ask for feedback. Feedback is very important. It's a commentaire. For my work in this area, I believe I excel in that field. Now, in English, when English people use Excel, they're not talking about the logiciel. They're not talking about the software that they use in the Microsoft package. They are talking about their skills, how well they do the skills, how good they are at doing the job, meaning I excel in my job. So I believe I excel in that field, in that domain. So champ or domain. So I'm looking to specialize. And as your company has around 2,000 people, right? Interviewer, yes, that's right. That's correct. So here we have feedback. Commentaire. Our new product received good feedback from our customers. Our new product received good feedback from our customers. So we're looking for positive feedback. Positive feedback is the good feedback. So positive, okay, positive feedback is very important. The opposite is negative feedback. In business, that's the one we don't want to hear. We can learn from it, but it's not always the one we want to hear. So positive feedback is the one we want to hear. Okay, so here's an example of how we would use excelled. So I excelled in my last job or my last role. I was promoted to senior publications engineer. So I excelled. We're using the verb in its simple past form here. Okay. Maria, well, an organization of this size would give me the scope to specialize in L&D, learning and development. I'm also a big follower of your brand and feel fully aligned with your image and values. Fully aligned, meaning that she is capable of working with the same image and values, that she is capable of working with the image and values of the brand. What kind of image does your brand give? Brand, mark. I always use the same brand of soap. I always use the same brand of soap. Mark. Okay, so let's go down to the next one from the interviewer. Well, that all sounds good, and I can see you have an learning and development qualification. Maria, yes, I got a diploma 2 years ago. So there we are, qualification, diploma. I am also currently working on a further diploma. So this would be another. A not, I'll say. So we're using further here, but another diploma in psychology, with a specific focus on learning and performance management. Interviewer, very good. Well, it looks like you have the qualifications and experience we're looking for. What do you think will be the main challenges of coming to a much larger company? Challenges. I am adventurous enough to embark on new challenges. I like a challenge. Very often, English people will say this during an interview. When they are being interviewed, they will say, I enjoy a challenge. I like a challenge. This one, my last job was not challenging enough. Was not challenging enough, meaning the person left their company to look for a more challenging job. Challenging as an adjective, difficile, stimulant. My job is very challenging and I am never bored. Okay. Now we have Maria. I can see that it might be perceived or perceived. We also use the synonym seen as a weakness and faiblesse to not have experience in an organization of this size, though I see that it could also be a benefit. I won't be bringing too many preconceived and possibly inflexible ideas with me to the role or the job. Seen. Okay, I went to see the monkeys at the zoo. Okay, so we have see, saw, seen. So irregular verb in English. So this one we're using the participe passé, seen, as a weakness. Perceive. Scientists perceive the discovery as a major breakthrough. So we have that might be perceived or seen. Okay, that's a synonym. Weakness, faiblesse. I believe weakness can become strengths. I believe weaknesses can become strengths. Often used in business, talking in English or American. We talk about weaknesses, but we can see them as strengths. Benefit. An upgrade to the new version will bring many benefits. An advantage, a benefit. So we go back, she says, I see that it could also be a benefit. Preconceived adjective. Inflexible. Tom is very flexible. So Tom is a very flexible employee, which is a good thing. But Sandra is very inflexible. So that's the opposite. Okay, so Sandra is not flexible. So in English, we can use inflexible or not flexible. Interviewer, yes, that would be a good thing. Maria, also, I'm used to talking or taking a very personal approach to employee development, une approche très personnelle. So English people, we use personal approach. Using this word personal in English gives the interviewer the impression that the candidate is passionate about their role, job that they do. It's a very personal approach. I realize that such an approach with 2,000 staff members will have to happen in a different way, but I bring many ideas with me that can be replicated or copied on a larger scale. So replicate. Okay, so interviewer, I see what you mean. Right. So, do you have any questions? This one is always very important when we are interviewing a candidate. We ask, do you have any questions? Now, this is the chance for the candidate now to ask you about questions, ask you questions about the company. So, Maria is réfléchir, she's thinking. I think we've covered many of the areas I wanted to address. I have 2 quick questions though. Interviewer, go on. Who would I mostly work with on a daily basis? So who would I mostly work with on a daily basis? So the interviewer says there's the HR manager, human resources manager, who you would report to, and then the human resources team, which currently has 6 people in it. There's usually an intern, which is a stagiaire or a trainee. An intern is a stagiaire or a trainee, or 2, so meaning there may be 1 or 2 interns who can get some support, that you can get some support from also. So Maria, okay, thanks. That's really clear. And my other question is how performance in this role will be measured. How do you measure performance in this job or this role? What does success look like? What does success look like? Interviewer, that's a good question. So asking this type of question is a good question. As you know, we have a performance management system in place. And from that, we have identified some certain learning and development needs within the organization. Then successfully implement this strategy. Maria, thank you. That sounds interesting. Interviewer, great. So thanks again for coming in today. We'll be discussing all candidates next week and then get back to you. I will get back to you by the end of the week to let you know the outcome. So that's how we finish off an interview. This is a short interview. And this is how the interviewer in English will say to the potential candidate that we will get back to you. This is the most popular end to a interview. We will get back to you at the end of the week to let you know the outcome, the results, okay? The outcome or the result of the interview. So Maria, thank you for your time. I'd welcome the opportunity to continue discussing the role with you. Okay, so the next one we have is a task. So we're looking at complete the sentences with words below. So the words that we have here are the words that we've seen in the lesson as we've worked down through the parole, okay? The transcript. So the first one we're going to look at is number 1. Maria feels her skills and experience are and we have a space for the company. So then we would have to choose the best word from here to go into the space. So Maria feels her skills and experience are a personal, good fit, aligned, replicated, stability, measured, responsible, report. The word we're looking for is a good fit. Okay, saying that Maria feels her skills and experience are a good fit for the company. Okay, that her experience is suited to the company or a good fit for the company. Okay, so Maria changed jobs because she was looking for, what was she looking for? Maria changed jobs because she was looking for more. And what would be the word? Stability. She's looking for stability in her job. So if we go back and have a look at what Maria was talking about, it says here that Maria, yes, that's right. I was looking for a little more stability and also to be part of a large organization. So I joined a company with around 100 staff and a small HR team. So that's what she's looking for stability. The bridge has 3 spans to ensure its stability. Okay. Very similar to the French word. Easier to remember. Okay. Now, the next one we have is number 3. She was for learning and development. She was for learning and development. She was responsible. So that's the word we're looking for to put in the gap. So she was responsible for learning and development. So where did she say that? Let's have a look. Let's go back and have a look at the sentence. As there are only a few of us, we each deal with a range of HR topics. In addition to payroll, one of the areas I was responsible for was learning and development. So L&D, learning and development. I go back down to the questions. And then we have number 4. She feels with the company's brand and values. She feels the company's brand and values. The word she said was aligned. She feels aligned. So there's the word we have there, aligned. Okay, and if we look at the sentence she said this in, she says, I'm also a big follower of your brand and feel fully aligned with your image and values. So Maria obviously likes the brand and she is a big follower of the brand. This could be a perfume, it could be a car, it could be jewelry, it could be anything that is a brand. Okay, so the next one we have is she's used to taking approach to L&D. She's used to taking a approach to L&D. Personal, aligned, replicated, measured, responsible, report. Personal. She is used to taking a personal approach to learning and development. Learning and development, L&D. Okay, so I think that's covered the lesson. There are some more questions to look at. is this lesson is in quite a few different parts, but that covers an example for you of the type of lesson that is given. In fact, there is more interaction between you and me, the teacher, and the student as we work down through these words and sentences. This is just an example to show you how and at what level this English lesson has been set at C1. Okay. So
Well,
thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Stephen, for your training, short training. We have one question here from Alicia. She asked, what type of questions would you recommend to ask in order to test the candidate's level of English?
Okay, well, that would be a different type of lesson, but obviously to test someone's English, we would have a range of questions which would really start from A1, and then those questions would progressively go up to C2.
Okay.
Obviously, with the time of the interview as well, that part of the interview would be done in such a way it would give you time to do the whole interview. It wouldn't be the whole interview testing someone's ability to speak English. But that is also recognized during, say, a 1-hour interview. You would also understand the person's ability to be able to speak English. But it's a good question, and there is a part of the interview which would show or which would give the candidate a chance to show their English skills.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everyone, and please remind you that we Proformation can give further classes for you and your trainees, and we wish you a very nice day, and please answer the questionnaire I sent you by chat if you want to receive the replay by mail. Okay. Well, thanks again, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stephen. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.